11, the expansions of Lord Nityananda. Okay, so we are live now from West London. Ch.Ch. Saraswat Math, West London branch. And so this beginning section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami, he is setting the Siddhantic foundation, He's setting the ontology. What is the nature of Mahaprabhu? What is the nature of his associates? What is the nature of his world? And in particular, in the first chapter, it's like the first 12 or 13 verses. Then the following chapters, Kaviraj Goswami is one by one elaborating upon each of those verses. So there were 2 verses, I believe, describing the glories of Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda Ram, and now those verses are being elaborated upon in 1 or 2 chapters, because there's another chapter in the beginning about. So this one is, that's chapter 5, I think, and then so this one's actually not directly about Nityananda, but his expansions. The tree, because there's the Chaitanya tree, and then there's zooming in on the trunk of Nityananda. Nityananda is one of the trunks of the Chaitanya tree, maybe? Mahaprabhu is the main trunk. And then so Nityananda must be one of the principal branches. And so now we're hearing about the sub-branches, I think. And we're happy to be here with our Vaishnava, devoted Vaishnava Sangha in West London. And we've just come from Ireland, had very nice programs with the devotees there. Now we're fortunate to be here. Dasa Vrindavanam Vande Krishna Dasa Prabhum Tata Janavatar Chaitanya Leela Visharsma. Dasa Vrindavanam Vande Krishna Dasa Prabhum Tata Janavatar Chaitanya Leela Vishtar Karino Lo Nityananda Pradabja Karunadena Bhushito Vyaktachano Burachincho Vavande Vyasarupino Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govindas Chaganaisaha Jayanti Patakas Ch.Ch. Sarvesham Gurunartino. So the expansions of Lord Nityananda. Nityananda Paramboja Bringan Prema Madun Madan Natvakilante Shumukya Likyante Katichinmaya. After offering my obeisances unto all the devotees of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who are like bumblebees collecting honey from his lotus feet, I shall try to describe those who are the most prominent. So, Nityananda Prabhu, he is and Baladev, they are the first expansion. Baladev is the first expansion from Krishna. And actually all the other avatars, expansions, they're coming from Baladev. So, he has some special position. And as Krishna has his group of gopas, so Baladev, he also has his own group of gopas, cowherd boys, his own associates. But of course, they are in the mood of service to Krishna, and Baladev is offering everything to Krishna. But still, he has his own circle who have special devotion for him. And they all appear, of course, also in Chaitanya Leela. So we're going to hear about those. And there, we hear descriptions also of how they're all very eccentric. As Nityananda Prabhu is very eccentric, they are also very eccentric. Like one of them has a flute the size of the trunk of a tree, and these kinds of. One of them has a whip, and whoever he whips will get Krishna prema. And one charming thing it mentions about is it Ketan Ramdas, maybe? That if when someone's giving obeisances to him, then he'll climb onto their shoulders, like that, very playful. So they have, as Nityananda, he has his own eccentric nature, so his associates, they also have that style. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya Tahar Charana Shita Jai Saidanya. All glory is to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who has taken shelter at his lotus feet is glorious. Jaya Jaya Shri Advaita Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Sarva Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Shri Advaita Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tasya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sat Prema Mada Shakinaha Urdhva Skandavadutendo Shakarupam Ganannuma. Shri Nityananda Prabhu is the topmost branch of the indestructible tree of eternal love of Godhead. Let's see the Bengali or this is Sanskrit, I think. Amar, indestructible. Premamar, Shakina. But that Shaka is a branch, isn't it? Anyway, so Krishna Prema is described here as indestructible. Is indestructible. Haituki apratihata. It is independent of this material plane. Nothing can check it. Nothing can stop that divine flow. So there's no excuse for us not having Krishna Prema other than our own deficiencies. Other than our own lack of an ability to stay connected, to that divine current. But it is an indestructible, infallible current, which is always flowing. So Nityananda Prabhu is the topmost branch of the indestructible tree of eternal love of Godhead. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I offer my respectful obeisances to all the sub-branches of that topmost branch. So this is also a nice, it's exemplary because, always in Vaishnava culture we are honoring the Lord and we are also carefully honoring all of the Lord's associates. So honoring Nityananda Prabhu, who's, a top associate of Mahaprabhu, and then we're also honoring the associates of Nityananda Prabhu. This is very necessary. If we want to get the mercy of Nityananda, we have to honor his, and that was the problem with Kaviraj Goswami's, brother who did not honor Ketan Ramdas, right? He did not honor him. So then Kaviraj Goswami, he's very upset and he leaves. This is not acceptable. We are entering an organic whole. We have to develop some sensitivity and awareness of all of the divine entities who are within that whole. It's not just one or two persons, but it's a very intricate, family tree, right? This is literally a family tree. So it's very, there's like literally 2 chapters, maybe even 3. Maybe there's one for Advaita Acharya too. Maybe even there's one for Gadadhar. Oh, there's one for Advaita and Gadadhar together. So there's like at least 3 chapters which are devoted to the sub-branches. So there's the Mahaprabhu's tree, and then they're zooming in on the branches within that tree of Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, And then zooming in further, like the sub-branches of those branches. So like how much attention. And when you read this, like you don't even know who all of these persons are, right? So you could think like, why is Kaviraj Goswami including this? Like it's just a list of names, right? With our offensive mentality, we can think like that. It's just a list of names. We don't know about who these people are. But like, so how important is it, that we enter into this mood, of honoring all of these persons?
I have to confess something. I saw one chapter of all the branches and all the names. So I skipped it. I was reading and then I came to that chapter 10. That is the trunk and the branches and the names. So many names. And I thought, you are here.
Confession time. I'm sure you'll be forgiven, Ch.Ch. I'm sure you gave your obeisance to all of them. That's what counts. So.
You can always go back.
So there was something else I was going to say. I can't remember. But anyway.
Accommodating the whole accommodating.
Yeah. Yeah, just that, like we may not relate to all of this, but like we see how much importance has been given to it. All of these specific names, they're mentioned. Yeah, sometimes these things, they may not make so much sense to us, but we're honoring, because like to Kaviraj Goswami this means something, So we're honoring his feeling, his mood. Actually, one of the most, in this regard, probably the most difficult section is the part where, I think it's in the middle of Sanatan Shiksha, when Mahaprabhu describes all these different forms that Lord Vishnu takes, and they all have a particular name, holding, there's the conch and the chakra and the club and the lotus, and there's so many permutations of that, So each of those Vishnu forms has a different name. Like they're all individual. So like if he's holding the conch here and the club here, or the club here and the conch here and the lotus here, and like all these different permutations, and when you read it, like your tongue's like tripping, It's like this tongue twister, chakra, shanka, gada, and then Shanka, Gada, Chakra, but Srila Shavaprabhu, he asked Gurudev once about that. He said, "Oh, Gurudev, why has Kaviraj Goswami, what is the significance? What is the purpose of including this?" And he said Gurudev didn't answer him, but he knew that whole section by heart, of course. And Gurudev just started reciting it, with ecstasy. He just started reciting it. So, there are things like that we'll come across where we don't necessarily feel the taste there or understand the significance, but our gurus, they have that feeling. So sometimes we're honoring that, and we can draw their mercy in that way. Okay. So, Nityananda Prabhu is an extremely heavy branch of the Chaitanya tree. From that branch grow many branches and sub-branches. Also I can add on this topic the Bengali, a lot of devotees, they struggle with the Bengali and Sanskrit. But Gurudev, the thing is, it's not a matter of language. It's not like, we don't need to go through that because it's another language. But Gurudev has pointed out, like, this is the original heart expression. That it's not that it's Bengali, but if it came, like Srila Sridhar Maharaj's books, many of them, they've come out in English directly, so there's special potency there. Like whatever the original heart expression was. So I know some devotees, maybe it's too difficult, but at least like to mentally honor, I wouldn't just skip past, but mentally, if someone finds it very difficult to read out loud, to pronounce, then at least to mentally honor that. That's why we're singing these songs, because in the original Bengali language, because otherwise, sometimes devotees do, we see they translate and they sing them in their own language. And that has a place as well, because that's also important to meditate upon the meaning. But I would say it's more important to meditate with faith on what's originally come, from the heart of a Vaishnava. It's mentioned many times, and Gurudev also mentioned, Kaviraj Goswami mentions, even if you don't understand, like, chant it with faith, meditate on it with faith, and you'll be blessed. You will be spiritually enriched by that. Because otherwise, if we exclude that part and just focus on the meaning, it can turn into a mental concoction. That's the danger. So there has to be some balance here, and focus on the devotional mood rather than putting too much emphasis on the intellectual understanding. So there has to be some balance here. Some caution. Malakade Ch.Ch jole mare shaka gan prema fole buddhi chailo bhuvan. Watered by the desire, the Ch.Ch of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these branches and sub-branches have grown unlimitedly and covered the entire world with fruits and flowers. Wow, how beautiful. Watered by the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these branches and sub-branches have grown unlimitedly and covered the entire world with fruits and flowers. Asankyanantagan ke koruganan apana shodite kohi mukya jam. These branches and sub-branches of devotees are innumerable and unlimited. Who could count them? For my personal purification, I shall try to enumerate only the most prominent among them. And here in the purport, Srila Swami Maharaj is emphasizing this point that Kaviraj Goswami says, apana shodite, for my own purification. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, she makes the same comment at the beginning of Prapana Jivanamrita. I'm not doing this, we do not want to approach this type of service with the mood of expanding our own name and fame. I'm writing, Kaviraj Goswami is not thinking, I'm going to write a text which is going to be the greatest theological literature that has ever seen the light of day. He's not thinking like that. That's what has come, but that wasn't his intent. I'm going to write the best book of all time. But for my own purification. Although sometimes, as an observer, he is like, wow, this is an amazing book. Sometimes it's like that, but not as something of his own, production. It's something that's come through him, and he's also like looking at it a little astonished. But his inner intention is, as he's saying here, for my own purification. And it's something. This mood is something that plays out into different areas. It should play out into different areas of our own spiritual life, because we can also, like in general, we may have more of a focus on trying to purify others. We want to purify others in Krishna consciousness. But the emphasis actually has to be on purifying ourselves. No, we want to instruct or to purify others, and it may just be a type of simple-heartedness, But we have to question, like, how much potency do I have, or how much am I actually practicing? How much do I understand? What is the degree of my sincerity? That, again, balance there has to be balance. But there can be a kind of like foolish ignorance in this department, where we're very eager to help others, and they may not be so so happy to be helped, or they may be looking at us and thinking, well, are you really an exemplary person to be telling me? No.
May I ask a question about that, or shall I wait till you?
No, now it's fine.
I think that's exactly why it's sometimes difficult to, when you are trying to practice yourself, in the name of distributing or sharing, or even like preaching, although I don't really like that word so much. But there's that tension where it's a little uncomfortable for me, where I'm trying to apply and practice Krishna consciousness, but I don't feel like I am able to give that to others.
Well, you're probably too much on the other side, Pandita.
No.
Or you need to help other people more. You need to have more confidence, and you're probably too humble.
No, I'm not. No, it's
like Mahaprabhu says, Amar Agyay Gu Hoi Tar E Desh, right? There's that famous expression. Upon my order, you become guru, you spread Krishna consciousness. So, it is the will of our guru, But this principle is very broad, It applies to. I'm speaking not just in terms of preaching, but also just like in our daily practicing life and our interactions with other devotees too. But you're speaking more specifically about preaching, is it?
Yeah, like sort of being in a position of giving what we have received to others,
Actually, we have that duty. We have a duty to do that. Whatever has been, I like very much how Goswami Maharaj expressed it once. Whatever has been extended to us in Krishna consciousness has been done with the tacit agreement. Get your pens ready. There's some fine print, and look at the fine print. With the tacit agreement that we will subsequently pass that on to. We will also extend that to others. That's their expectation. No. And in fact, Srila Sridhar Maharaj even mentions in one place that if we are blocking that, then that can be an offense, actually. That can be a type of aparad. That our gurus are giving something, some wealth to us, and we are blocking that, because it's a flow. The flow needs to flow. It needs Krishna consciousness as a current. So, we have that duty. But it shouldn't be something arbitrary. It shouldn't be like, oh, I've got to do this, it's different for everybody. It depends on the individual capacity, the individual role that we have, and also what opportunity there is, But, in our own small way, in our own small or bigger way, we should be doing some type of, sharing, but it may not be it may not necessarily be in a formal way, or it may not necessarily be that we're on the streets, or whatever, or we're sitting on the Vyasasana or whatever, but we should have that mood, that spirit, and where we have the opportunity, where we have the capacity, then we try to extend that, And yeah, it is a balance, of trying to save ourselves, also having that inner mood of introspection, and then also trying to extend to others too. Because too much emphasis on either side is not healthy, Like I've also heard Gurudev mention, he didn't like this mood that everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna preach, I'm gonna be a big preacher, I'm gonna preach, too much on that side. He didn't like. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj too, there's that, we've been given that emphasis from our gurus to correct ourselves, to save ourselves. And so some balance has to be there. And we cannot think like, oh, I'm not fit, Our gurus, this is nothing to do with us actually, this is the wealth of our gurus. And we may think, okay, maybe I'm not the right person to do some huge preaching thing, but in my own small way, I can try to share something, to extend something. And we can also see what is Krishna putting in front of me, what's on my plate, what opportunities are coming, what facility, what capacity, it's an individual thing. But I mean, in your case, I think you've always had a sweet mood of sharing and supporting the preaching activity, facilitating. I mean, you've organized many things. So, does that answer your question? Yeah, I mean, the Vaishnava naturally always feels that they are unfit, but if there is some necessity there, and they've been blessed with some capacity, then they have to go beyond that, and they have to focus on the fact that this is not my own wealth, but this is their wealth. It's their property, and I have a duty to try to share that with others. There's one quote of Gurudev's where he says you probably know that quote, I don't know if I can remember the exact words, but he says like one who's tasted that, they cannot but give it to others, When you're tasting something so nice, you're moved to share it with others. This is so wonderful, Everyone has to know about this, We hear sometimes devotees, they're just living there before they meet the devotees there. They're living their lives, and then they hear about Krishna consciousness. Oh, wow, this is everything I've been searching for. And then they go and tell other friends and family, I found it. And they're like, okay. Well, I thought we were all on the same page here. Oh, they're not all getting as excited. They tell everybody. You're saying Sachi Didi was like that, huh?
Yeah, I thought, why I didn't hear that from before.
Yeah, I've heard many stories like that. And they tell everyone, they think everybody's going to be just as excited, So it's natural, isn't it? It's natural. And yeah, this meditation is nice, for my own purification. Oh yeah, and that was the other thing I wanted to mention, which is it's very interesting, that Gurudev, he, his main agenda was not to save the world, actually. His main agenda was to serve Guru Maharaj and glorify Guru Maharaj. That was his idea in spreading the mission. That he wanted souls to be benefited by Guru Maharaj. He wanted Guru Maharaj's glories to be known and to spread far and wide. That was more his angle of vision. That it was all intrinsically tied up. Like his expansion of the mission and Krishna consciousness was intrinsically tied up with his desire to serve and glorify his Guru Maharaj. Not like, oh, I'm coming to save everyone. Oh, the poor suffering souls, I'm going to save them. Some element of that, of course, but couched in this particular way, couched in his mood of service to his Guru Maharaj. Because the devotees, they're also surrendered, and they're, if their role is to sit in the temple and give classes, or to cook for the Lord, or to wash pots and pans, or if it's to go out and become a world preacher, it's actually like the same for them. They're surrendered. They're happy to do whatever service is required. Their joy, their satisfaction is in pleasing their guru. So whatever, it's all, whether they become like famous and powerful, or they have a humble service in the temple, doing the puja, it's the same actually. They don't need to be known, like that, as like big preachers. They don't need that. So that's another point there.
Preaching being merely an aspect of service, and the emphasis being on devotion to your Gurudev.
Right.
Service.
Right. Like it's the desire of our Guru that we will do this, so to please him and to glorify him, then we are doing it. That's something tangible actually. Or something else I can't remember now about Gurudev. But yeah, it's an interesting point. Like, I mean, Gurudev actually, he, like in the beginning, as we know, he was resisting, like 30 years, resisting that chair. He wanted someone else to be put in that position. And he told Guru Maharaj, I will serve them. And then even when it came to him coming out to the West, he was very slow in doing that, Actually, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada 2 or 3 times tried to get Gurudev to travel with him and was ready to buy him a ticket, a world ticket. But like nowadays to have like a ticket for like a world ticket, that would be very expensive. But think back, this is like, in the 70s, like how expensive would that be, But Srila Swami Maharaj wanted to bring Gurudev to all of his temples around them. And part of the reason for that is because he wanted Srila Sridhar Maharaj to hear about it from Gurudev. Because of course Srila Swami Maharaj was telling Srila Sridhar Maharaj himself, but he knew it would be sweeter if Gurudev would tell Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Like he would give like a personal report, So he repeatedly asked, but Gurudev said and Srila Sridhar Maharaj wanted Gurudev to go also. He was encouraging Gurudev to go. And he was even ready to collect money to pay for Gurudev's expenses. But Gurudev said, Guru Maharaj's health is volatile right now, I can't leave like this. And then later, I heard some recordings of Gurudev speaking in 1989, 1990, before he went on the first world tour, and he was kind of mentioning it. Devotees are asking me to come out, and it was like a few years he was saying, okay, let's see, and because he wanted to set things properly in India, after Srila Sridhar Maharaj left, he wanted to finish some projects and he was mentioning in one recording, he was saying, I haven't even made my passport yet. Like everyone's asking me, please come out, please come out. You know, to America, Australia, England, etc. And I haven't even made my passport yet. He said, I can go. I can travel, no problem. But what I need to hear Guru Maharaj's order. You know, that's what I need. I'm waiting for that sound from Guru Maharaj. I'm ready to do anything, you know, to be here, to go there, you know. I'm ready to do anything. But I need to hear that. What I need is Guru Maharaj's order. I'm waiting for that. So, you know, we want to try to cultivate that mood of surrender. You know. We can play whatever part is required, and we can dance over here, we can this way, we can dance over there, and that way, you know whatever the service necessity is. And this is if we're going up to the highest level, like this is the glory of the Braja Gopis, you know, that they are like suicide. We use this phrase. Srila Sridhar Maharaj used this phrase, right? The suicides, called kamikaze. You know? Like they're ready to do anything. You know, they can fight on land. You know, they can go by ship in the Navy. They can be in the Air Force. Like they're ready to play any part. You know, whatever is required. So of course that's a very high level. You know, normally, you know, we have our own particular inclination, and we're dovetailing that with service life, right? And that's beautiful. You know, of course, but at a higher level, you know, we're ready to play whatever part's required, you know. Anything. You know, like in the composition of, well, in the composition, that's not how I wanted to say it, but like in the composition of Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear Prabodhananda Saraswati, he especially requested that his poetry was not included here. You know, why? Because Mahaprabhu was establishing Rupa Goswami. Actually, there are so many qualified Vaishnavas. You know, there were so many Mahaprabhu could have... Qualified Vaishnava is a very weak way of putting it, but, you know, there were so many who Mahaprabhu could have chosen. And there were those who were, you know, on a higher level even than Rupa Goswami. You know, but for his own purpose, Mahaprabhu chose Rupa Goswami, you know, to carry his line. So we are known as the Rupanuga line. Like he was chosen to play that part, you know, and then all the Vaishnava, all of Mahaprabhu's associates, they supported that, you know. And so like Prabodhananda Saraswati, his verses, they're on the same level, if not more sometimes, than Rupa Goswami. But you won't find his poetry here, you know. Why? Because he especially requested, like, I don't want to undermine the position and the glory of Rupa in any way. You know, Mahaprabhu's chosen him, so, you know, please don't include my name, don't include any of my writing in there. So, yeah. So yeah, you know, ultimately we are servants. And service is service, whatever it is. We just want to be engaged in some kind of service.
You mentioned also, like, what Gurudev always mentioned about thinking, willing, and feeling. It's about the feeling. You emphasized that the last Zoom meeting. That is so important to cultivate. Like, what are we actually busy with, you know? Like, it's so high and it's so beautiful, and to not to let that go, to waste that, like something that we're doing things or thinking. But the feeling part is important. The heart has to be involved.
Yeah, otherwise it's not sustainable. That was Gurudev's point. You know, there will come a point where we can't, it's dry. You know, if it's always about this or it's always about this, then eventually the you lose the taste, you know. You lose the taste. So that inner feeling of attachment, inner heart feeling, that has to be there.
Because sometimes, you mentioned that also, like sometimes so busy with festival days that you have to do so many things, and then you forget the part that is the feeling part, because it's so busy.
Well, I don't know if you forget, Ch.Ch. I don't know if you're a good example of that. I think you're a good example of someone who has that feeling. Otherwise, you wouldn't, you know, you've been in this movement for like, I don't know, 40 years or something. And you're still going strong. But your heart is still going strong. And physically, you're still able to do so much, you know. So you're an example of what we want to be, what we all aspire to be.
I know.
Jai Shri Gurudev ki Jai, Vaishnava ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Jai.
Jai Visakha Devi Dasi ki Jai.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madhusudana.
Nini Nani Gopinata Madana Moha. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Jai Shri Gurudev ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guruvarga ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Vaishnava Vinda ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanand.
It's Ekadashi today.
Ekadashi.